love is ablaze. I saw flames from the side of the stage, and the fire brigade comes in a couple of days. Until then we got nothing to say and nothing to know, but something to drink and maybe something to smoke. Let it go until our roads are changed, singing we found love in a local rave. No, I don't really know what I'm supposed to say, but I can just figure it out, then hope and pray. I told her my name, I said it's nice to meet you. Then she handed me a bottle of water filled with tequila. I already know she's a keeper, just from this one small act of kindness. I'm in deep, if anybody
I'm Cindy Holbrook from UW River Falls, coming over to do a shooting clinic for Park Cottage Grove today. And I want to just make a couple quick notes. First of all, when you teach shooting, for me, I'm just going to teach you my philosophy and how we teach shooting. So one of the big things is it has to be age appropriate. So some kids, until they're strong enough to get the ball to the basket easily, without having to push it and force it with two hands, they're not going to be able to shoot correctly. So that's a really important piece to it. When they're younger, they're going to just do anything they can to get the ball up to the basket. Let them do it. As they get stronger, then teach them the right way. So it really has to be age appropriate. The other thing is we have to teach kids to shoot. So sometimes we think if they're not a good shooter, we just let them practice and practice and practice, but they're never going to become a great shooter. Kids have to have good technique in order to become a great shooter. And a kid with bad form is not going to practice enough to get good at shooting and have success with it if they don't have good form. So we have to teach it. And if coaches aren't comfortable teaching it, you have to learn to teach it. I think it's an important part of your job. I'm a big believer that you got to teach kids to feel how their shot should feel. So I don't want to have shooters just be able to practice when their coach is there correcting them. We want kids to really be able to feel it. So when we teach it, we talk about feel where it comes off, feel your angles, feel your comfortable elbow, your relaxed shoulder. Kids got to feel it because then they can self-correct whether the coach is there or not. And I think that's really, really important. Every shooter is going to be a little bit different. So we're not going to teach one exact thing to every kid to shoot it. Every kid's a little bit different biomechanically. Different things are comfortable for them physically to be able to shoot. We're going to take those things and let them work to their advantage and let them shoot in a relaxed way that works for their body. And if they can get it correct with their target and things like that, then that's great. So first thing that we want to talk about with kids teaching them how to shoot is just how to hold the basketball. A lot of times when kids are younger and you teach them how to hold the basketball, coaches will tell them to put the ball in their fingertips. So April here has a little bit bigger hands than the average fourth grader, but they'll teach you how to put the ball on your fingertips. And in order for little kids to do that, they put their thumb out here to hold it on their fingertips. And your thumb out here is the worst thing you can do for holding a basketball. Number one, we don't want the ball on their fingertips anyways, and number two, their thumb is really going to impact the mobility of their wrist. So we don't want to teach them to do this. We want to just teach them to relax their hand, spread their fingers out, and hold the ball comfortably on their hand. So if you turn sideways, April, here, the ball's actually going to sit on all of the pads of their hand, everything except for this little corner right here. It's going to sit comfortable on all of their fingers, even on the pads of their hand right here, just not this one. So that's really, really an important piece. And whenever I teach shooting, that's the first thing I look for is that thumb up, trying to hold it on your fingertips. It's wrong, and it ruins everything else about the shot. So that's number one. Number two is a lot of coaches, I believe in the triple threat. Everybody that ever coached basketball believes in the triple threat. But one of the things I think teaching the triple threat does is teaches kids to get the ball in a passing position and not a shooting position. So we want to try to get kids to catch the ball and get ready to shoot the ball unless there's a lot of defensive pressure. So kids have to learn to catch it, get their hand like this behind the basketball, right? So April's going to try to catch it, and she's going to use both hands. We want to try to have her catch it, and every time she catches it, get her hand in that position behind the basketball, the other hand on the side of the basketball, so she can shoot it. Most kids pass with one hand anyways. We all teach them to pass with two hands. I've never seen a kid actually pass with two hands. We want to have them catch it, get their shooting hand behind the basketball, so they catch it, bam, they're in their shooting position, right? Hands on the side of the ball. They can still dribble, they can still pass, they can still shoot it, but they don't have to have their hands on the side in a big bad triple threat position if there's no pressure on the ball. Let's have you catch it ready to shoot it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to have April and Allie Allie, come right out here for me. They're just going to stand apart, and they're only, just start with them 10 feet apart. All they're going to do is they're going to pass the ball to each other, and I want them to catch it, get their hand behind the basketball, and get it into their shooting pocket, all right, which is where their shot generally will start. So just pass it to her, get your hand behind the ball. There you go. Now, here's what I want them to do. I want them to start their shot a little bit lower, all right? So I want them to catch it and bring it into your hip, just like that, all right? Here we go. Bring it into your hip. Bring it into your hip though. That's okay. Yep, that's okay. Yep. There you go. Bring it into your hip. Bring it into your hip, Allie. A little bit lower. Yep. Bring it into your hip. There you go. Good. Now what bringing it into their hip is going to do, so they catch it and right away they get their hand behind the ball. So give the ball to April again. Pass to Allie and watch her right away. Hand behind the ball. Good. So hands behind the ball, hands on the side. Bring it into their hip. Now, if they bring it up to their shoulder, which you can see right away these guys were doing, they bring it up to their shoulder, they're never going to be able to do a jump shot from there because the ball's got to come down to go up, which I'm actually okay with the ball dipping down to come up, but it's much easier to catch it and bring it right down to be able to go into your shot. So catch it, bring it into your hip. Yep, and she can go right straight up into her shot from there anyways. Okay, so go ahead. There you go. See how April's hand right here, she brings it behind the ball, but her hand's not, we want her hand to be set, her wrist to be cocked back, like she's going to catch it and shoot it. All right, so we want them to catch it, bam, get that wrist so their fingers are up, get it in. A lot of times kids will hold it to the side like this, or they'll hold it like this. We want them to catch it so that they can go bam, right up into their shot and their wrist is already in position to shoot the ball. A lot of times kids will catch it and they'll go here. Well, a kid can't shoot it from here, so we say it's triple threat, but they got to bring it here to be able to go up and shoot. So I would rather have them catch it, be ready to shoot it first. If there's not a lot of defensive pressure, if there's pressure, obviously they're going to catch it, they're going to be pivoting different, but if there's not a lot of defensive pressure, let's catch it and be ready to shoot it right away in our shot pocket with our wrist back, our fingers up, hand on the side of the ball, elbow in, and so we're right in our shooting position right away. All right, so once we get a kid catching the ball, the hand behind the basketball, getting their fingers up, getting into their hip, so we get them to catch the ball, relaxed hand, then we want to work on getting their shoulder, their elbow, their wrist, and their index finger aligned with the basket, because that's really going to determine where the ball is going to go. A lot of times coaches will teach kids to square up. So you square up to the basket, and even if Allie here if she squares up to the basket and she points her elbow to the basket, you can see her shoulders squeeze. That's not a comfortable shooting position for most kids. So kids will do it. You hear coaches all the time, get your elbow in, get your elbow in, get your elbow in. Well, kids are getting their elbow in and they're squeezing their shoulders together and it's really, really uncomfortable. So kids are not going to be good shooters when they're squeezing their shoulders in. So what we want to do is we want to create this alignment with the elbow and the wrist, but we want to do it in a comfortable way. So all we're going to have Allie do is we're going to have her turn her body a little bit. She's going to open up her hips and her shoulders until her elbow is really comfortable pointing to the basket. And she'll feel all of a sudden her shoulder will go, oh, that feels good.
Yep.
Did it say that?
It said, oh, good.
Perfect. Okay. So they'll just relax. And you can see Allie here is about 45 degrees. 45 degrees with her feet, with her hips, with her shoulders, and her elbow is pointing perfectly to the basket. And when she does that, you can see her head will go up a little bit, her shoulders open up. It just looks way more comfortable. Biomechanically, it's going to be easier for her to shoot the ball, so we want to get her to that position. Now, every kid, when they figure this out, is going to be a little bit different. So April, for example, April might want to stay a little bit more closed. That might be comfortable for her shoulders. Some kids will open up a little bit more. Every kid's going to be a little bit different. Let them figure out what's comfortable for their shoulder. Kids are smart. They'll know, and they have to recognize their own body. Plus, we want them to feel, oh, this is comfortable. And once they feel this is comfortable, they can recognize it and they can do it again. So we have her aligned how we want her. Comfortable shoulder. Her head's up, her elbows can point to the basket real easily. Next thing we want to do with this is we want to take her elbow, we want to get her wrist straight over her elbow. It is. That's great. Her wrist and her elbow and her shoulder all work together. So if her elbow is out here, her wrist is going to be in here, and her shot is going to be sideways. It's going to be diagonal. We don't want a diagonal shot. We want a straight shot. So we get elbow pointing to the basket in line with the basket, wrist straight over the elbow, and then once she gets in this position, hold this for me, April. Thanks. Once she gets in this position, you can see on her hand, she opens up her fingers just a little bit. Her index finger is in a straight line below her elbow. Her wrist, her index finger will be the finger that's the most behind the basketball. So what we want to do is get comfortable shoulders, elbow in a line with the basket, wrist over her elbow, and then we want to get kids to shoot off their index finger. So that index finger is really a key part. A lot of times when kids have their elbows out, they'll shoot it off their side fingers here. It's a mess. Their pinky finger and their ring finger are not strong fingers. So we want to have their strongest finger which is their index finger, which is the most aligned with their wrist, elbow, shoulder, index finger, all in a line, all comfortable, so their shoulders are open. So we want to get them to that. So we get them where this is your turn, this is your alignment, and then you can see Allie can bring her wrist back and forth. She can follow through the basket, straight up to the basket, straighten out your arm once. There you go, and then bring it back down. Then go ahead and shoot it again. Good. So you can see that alignment looks really, really comfortable for Allie. That's exactly what we want to do next. Okay? All right, now I know a lot of people like to do one-hand form shooting. One-hand form shooting, I'm 50-50 on. Some kids need to do it just to get their hand really behind the basketball. A lot of kids don't need to do it because they already have their hand behind the basketball. So to teach them to use their guide hand right away, I think is fine. Just you're going to have to see, every kid's a little bit different. So if Allie brings the ball up in position right here, yep, she can keep her hand up on it on the side because she's got, see how balanced the ball is if she takes her hand off there? So she doesn't need to work on one hand form shooting. She can work on keeping that guide hand up just on the side, not underneath or anywhere else, just on the side right there. And all she's going to do is when she shoots it, we want her elbow toward the basket. Her wrist is going to go in a straight line. We want her to put her index finger in the basket. All right? So let's see it. That's all right. Yep. So we call this form shooting. All of our players will start, go ahead and keep going. All of our players will start practice this way. Every time they walk into the gym, this is the first thing we do. So we want them to get some muscle memory, just create good habits, and every time they come into the gym, we want them to feel it and have it feel the same. So we want to see if her elbow is staying in a line. Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, good. Now, when they shoot, when Allie shoots, the ball is going to come up kind of in front of her right eye. So she's right-handed. She's going to shoot from kind of in front of that right eye, elbow, wrist, index finger, guide hand's just holding it. So go ahead and put it in the basket. Good. Now, one thing you can see on the follow-through here is really important, and we're going to add this right now because we're ready. You can see that when Allie follows through, you can see her index finger is her lowest finger. That's really important. That's how you know which finger they're pushing with. So a lot of times you'll see kids will follow through and their follow through is all over the place, but they know how it's supposed to look, right? So you see them follow through here and then they'll go bring it over. You got to watch the follow through. So her index finger is the lowest. That tells me she's pushing off that the hardest. One of the things that we can do to get kids to really focus on that index finger is have them pinch it. So they pinch their index finger to their, turn sideways a little bit. They pinch their index finger to their thumb. And all that does is it gives them a little teaching point to really emphasize, get that index finger coming down and finish right there. And see how her pinky finger, ring finger, and middle finger are up a little higher? That's exactly what we want. So sometimes I teach them to pinch it, sometimes I don't. It just depends on the kid. I think it's easier for them to learn it just as a teaching point. So go ahead and do a couple of those. Yep, that's all right. Do it again. Let me see it from the front. Okay, now, one of the things with Allie likes to bring it a little bit over in front of her forehead a little bit more, so bring the ball up. Bring it up a little higher. So don't bring it in here. Okay. Keep it right. Keep it over here a little bit so it's just in front of this eye, not in front of your whole face. There you go. If she brings it over, and kids will have certain habits they'll do, if she brings it over further across her face, it's going to create the ball coming off these fingers over here rather than the index finger, and we don't want that. So we want to keep it in the line so it comes off her index finger. That's good. Can you feel it coming off your index finger? Good. So really important to ask kids to feel where which finger the ball comes off. So they'll be able to feel it if they pay attention to it, especially on form shooting. So if whether they miss it or not, whether they make it, miss it, whatever, they should be able to tell you which finger or fingers the ball comes off of. All right. So have them start to focus on that. So when you shoot it, tell me where it's coming off. Good. And you got to make sure that kids know that it's not that you don't want them to have the right answer every time. You want them to have the true answer, right? So they're going to tell you it comes off their index finger every time, and it's not coming off their index finger every time. But have them really start to learn it so they can feel it, so they can do this without you there. It's all right. Good. Now, one of the questions that I like to ask kids is, what do you look at when you're shooting the basketball? And every kid will give you a different answer. It's kind of interesting. Some kids will say, I look at the front of the rim. Some kids will say, I look at the back of the rim. A lot of kids will say, I'm not really sure what I look at. What I try to teach kids is to try to picture a target or a dartboard sitting on top of the basket. So if you have a dartboard or a target sitting on top of the basket so it's flat, right? A regular dartboard's this way, and you're shooting for the bullseye. So take that dartboard or that target and lay it flat on top of the basket, and so that bullseye is in the middle of the basket. That's what we want kids to look at. So we want them to look at what they're shooting for. So in their mind's eye, they should see the target flat on top of the basket, and they're trying to hit that bullseye. And a lot of times if they think of that in their head when they look at the basket, they'll measure it, and it'll also help them with their arc. Nobody would shoot a dart from the side if they want to hit the dartboard, if they want to hit the bullseye. And so kids will automatically adjust their arc a little bit to hit the middle of that target. So April shoots a little bit differently. Obviously she's left-handed, so that's part of it. Part of, with April, we got to make sure the ball gets comfortable on her hand and just rests on her hand a little bit more. So we'll see how April does with that. Go ahead and hold it up just like you're going to form shoot. All right, so this is nice. See how her hand's on the side of the ball, her hand's comfortable underneath the ball, elbows to the basket. She's turned, and you can see April's turned a little bit more than Allie was. That's okay. So we're here, elbows in. Wrist is above the elbow. Yep. Index fingers behind the basketball. Yep. So we're good right here. Ball's in front of her eye, coming up in front of her eye, so she's going to shoot it. And she's going to work on getting that pinch with her index finger. And one of the things that when they're doing form shooting is getting them to feel where the ball comes off their hand. So you're going to tell me where the ball comes off your hand when you shoot it. Okay, so these two fingers, okay? That's right. Now, this is one thing that's really important. So the last two April missed were in a straight line on the back of the rim. So there's a good miss and a bad miss. That's a good miss. She shot it straight. She shot it a little bit deep. That's okay. Once kids are shooting it straight, their shot's going to get better because it's a really easy adjustment. It's when kids are missing to the right or to the left that there's something biomechanically that they got to work on, or it's coming off the wrong part of their hand. But if they're missing straight, they're just missing. If they're missing right or left, then they're doing something wrong. There you go. Where'd that come off your hand? Okay, a little bit. Yep, so she likes to shoot it off her middle finger here a little bit. There you go. Where'd that come off your hand? Okay, good. So if you just keep asking them over and over, where'd that come off your hand? Where'd that come off your hand? Where'd that come off your hand? They'll start to feel it, and they'll start to realize that they can feel it. Here, bring the ball up. If they bring their hand over a little bit, they'll be able to feel it coming off the outside of their hand. So they shoot it. If it comes off right here, they should be able to feel that, and they know that's wrong. So next time they shoot it, they should be able to make the adjustment and get it over. Hold that index finger up. They should be able to shoot it and get that ball over here where we want it, right? But they got to feel it. 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 We want them to be able to get better when we're not there. All right, so they get the form shooting, they get the muscle memory piece of this, they get the comfortable, the open stance, the more open stance, the turn, the shoulder comfortable, the elbow in line with the basketball, the wrist straight over it, the index finger behind it, the comfortable hand. They get all those pieces. The next piece is to try to get them to shoot like this. This is the end part of their shot. We got to get the beginning part of their shot connected to the end part of their shot. So the easiest way I think to teach that is to have them start with the ball on the floor. Now once they pick up the ball, they're going to start in their turn. Once they pick up the ball, the ball can't stop. Okay, so they pick it up, they go right straight into their shot. All right. Do it again. Can you rebound for me? There you go, good. Good. Now when you bring it up, bring it up just a little bit closer to your body. There you go. There you go, bring it a little bit closer to your hip when you bring it up. There you go, good. So when kids first start doing this, they'll bring it up and they'll bring it out way out from their body. That's not how they're going to shoot. We want them to bring it up tighter to their body. So we want her to pick it up with her hand already behind the ball. Here, do this in slow motion with me once. Okay, so we want her to pick it up. See how she picks it up? Her hand's already behind the ball. Great. That was that first piece we want. So as she brings it up, we want her to bring it up, get her wrist back, bring it up past her hip, up to her shoulder, and then go into shooting. So don't let them bring it up way out here from their body. That's not how they're going to shoot it. Bring it up in a little bit tighter to their body. All right. There you go. Good. That's all right. Good. Now another thing that you can do to get this is have a partner that grabs the rebound, just drop them a little bounce pass. So drop it to them at their knees. So April's going to catch it down at her knees. First thing she's going to do is catch it, get her hand behind the basketball, and get ready to go into her shot. Okay? So just dribble it to her knee, hand behind the ball. Good. So that'll connect the picking the ball up with the drill we did earlier with the catching the ball behind her hand. All right? So just kind of dribble it to her. There you go. Lower, lower, lower. Make her go reach down and get it. Okay, so now when you first catch it, so this is the catching it piece, right? So when you first catch it, I want you to catch it with your hand, catch it like a backstop. You know what a backstop is? Catch it like a backstop. So get that left hand straight behind the ball in the catch. You got it? Okay. Yes. There. So you can see April likes to catch it with her hands on the side of the ball. And I don't want her to catch it with her hands on the side of the ball. I want her to catch it with her shooting hand behind the ball. All right, so here we go. So have them catch it like a backstop. So I'm going to throw it a little bit harder. So you got to backstop it. You got it? There. Go right up into the shot. Good. All right, so does that make sense? That connects the catching piece to the fluid motion piece to the top part piece, right? Okay, so those all have to go together and it has to be progressive. So once we do that, then we have them start shooting it. So you might have, you're going to rebound 5 shots, okay? And April, you're going to shoot 5 shots. And all I want you to do is just move around a little bit, but make sure you shoot it right. Okay, it doesn't have to be fast. When we have kids start shooting it, as soon as you add speed and competition into the shooting piece, the shooting form goes right out the window until they get the muscle memory of it. So they have to do this a lot of times without a shooting competition, without having to do it in a game before they're going to be able to do it. You add the speed, and you add that you got to make the shot. Nothing else matters. So we got to get the form piece first. So we're going to have April shoot it 5 times, and then Allie's going to shoot it 5 times. So you're just going to pass it to her, and you're going to move around a little bit. That's all right. Okay, so when April catches a basketball, she likes to set right here, right? So if you give me the ball, if you shoot it, okay, watch her set. She likes to set her shot right there, which is okay for a set shot, right? But what we want to try to do is we want to try to get kids to learn to shoot it in a way that's going to benefit them all over the court. So inside, outside. Obviously, when a kid's shooting a layup in here, that's more of a post move. That's going to be a little bit different. But when a kid sets their shot here, it's going to be really hard for them to shoot from the three-point line and also to do a jump shot. So I like to have kids set it or dip it a little bit differently. So we want them to set it down there. Now this is going to transfer into other areas and then move through where April likes to set it. Okay? So keep your elbow, make sure your elbow's to the basket. Yep. All right, let's see it. Good, now move. Yep, good. You got her, Ellie? There you go. Remember, catch it with a backstop. Catch it with a backstop. Yep. There you go. Good. There you go. Okay, now you go ahead. So a couple things, every kid's going to be different. So April right now has to work on catching it with a backstop. Catch it with a backstop, catch it with a backstop. Otherwise she catches it here, she has to adjust everything, readjust her hands in order to be able to shoot it. So that's going to cause a big hesitation, right? And the hesitation is okay. if people aren't going to guard you. But people are going to guard you. We want to try to get her to catch it hand behind the basketball, ready to shoot it. Start it a little bit lower so that later you can add a jump to it. You can shoot more from the three-point line. It'll be easier, more comfortable. You'll be able to keep your shoulders relaxed. So you got to watch each of the pieces with each kid. All right, so we're going to have Allie shoot it. And April, can you rebound for her? Okay, keep your wrist over your elbow. There you go, wrist over your elbow. All right, keep your wrist over your elbow. Okay, come here for a second. Okay, so again, you want to watch every kid individually. So Allie is different. See what I'm talking about? Allie is different than April in that Allie, when you add a little bit of speed to it, so give Allie the ball. Now, Allie shoots like a typical post player. So she's going to go back to square a little bit. We want to open you up a little bit more, yep. Typical post player will catch it at their shoulders and shoot from their shoulders. That's fine if they're only going to shoot from 15 feet or if they're super, super strong. Okay, so 15 feet. And Allie can comfortably shoot this way from 15 feet. So she'll catch it, bring it to her shoulder, and then as you add speed for Allie, she brings the ball over in front of her forehead. Okay, so catch it. She brings it over in front of her forehead a little bit. Do you feel that when you do that? She brings it in front of her forehead, so what's going to happen is the ball's not going to come off her index finger, it's going to come off her side fingers. When it comes off her side fingers, it's going to be less accurate and less consistent. So we got to really work with her on keep it here, use your index finger, feel your index finger, feel your index finger. Because if it's in front of her forehead and she shoots it off her index finger, she'll miss to the side most of the time. Right? Her correction is it comes off different fingers, way less consistent. So that's why I keep saying keep your wrist over your elbow, because she's bringing her wrist in and keeping her elbow out, and her body will adjust, but we don't want it to adjust. Okay, so shoot a couple more. Good. Keep it over there. Keep that wrist over. Okay, now I'm going to just add one more piece, and the older kids are going to be able to learn this, the younger kids probably aren't. So, Allie, I'm going to have you come and shoot from here. All right, so if Allie catches it and shoots it right here about 15, 16 feet, go ahead and give her the ball. Go ahead. Now, the further out she gets, her adjustments or her habits are going to be harder. Okay, so if she catches it right here, take one step in. Keep your wrist over your elbow. Wrist over your elbow, yep. Okay, that's better. And she's still getting, if you can see, she gets this pinch. She's using her, that's right, that's good follow through, that's good follow through. So when she's missing to the side, we know for Allie, most of the time it's because she brings her wrist in front of her forehead. There you go, that's a good miss. All right, so you can see when she catches it, get ready to shoot it. There, right there, see how she brings it really high like this? That's okay, but step back to the three-point line and do that. Yeah, she's going to feel like it's really a push, because it's really hard for most kids to be strong enough to shoot from the three-point line from here. Just think about shooting or jumping. I always try to connect this to different pieces. So shooting or jumping, right? So if you're going to jump, are you a center?
Yeah.
Are you? Do you like jump, tip? Oh, perfect. Okay. So if kids are going to jump, if you want kids to jump, put your hands up here. Okay, if you want kids to jump, if you want to jump your highest, are you going to jump with your hands right there? Where do you want your hands to jump from? You're not going to jump up there. You're going to reach up there. You want to get some momentum to jump, right? So go ahead and show me. Yep, so you want to jump. If they got to jump with their hands up here, that's going to be really odd. So when you see people jump for tips and you see them have one hand up, you know, we try to teach our kids how to tip, right? Kids like to tip like this. Well, they can't even jump. Start here, get them to jump. Their hand comes here anyways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they tip like that, they jump like that. We want them to shoot like that. We want them to be able to jump. So we want her to be able to get the ball here. If she starts with it here, right? Now, if you bring her, don't shoot it. Just use your arms, use everything, and jump. Okay, now start with it up here. Now do it again. It's odd, it's awkward for kids to do that. So we want them to be able to jump. So we want them to start with the ball a little bit lower. Yep, and go ahead. Good, so it adds their ability to jump. So even if they catch it up here, we want them to bring it here. Some people say, don't bring, wherever you catch it, don't bring the ball down. Well, if they catch it high, then they can't jump. We want them to be able to jump. So give her you get the ball, get your hand behind the ball, get set, bring it down here, wrist up a little bit, there you go, so that she can use her arms to jump. Does that make sense? That'll give her some strength shooting it from here. So we want them to bring it here, bam, come in, and shoot it. All right, so that's one piece. The other piece of the jump, and I'm just going to show you this really quick. Open up your stance a little bit again. The other piece of the jump, when she jumps to shoot it, we want her to reach out with her toes and land on her toes in front of where she shoots it. Okay? We don't want her whole body to jump forward. We want her to shoot from here. We want her to shoot it and reach out with her toes. So she almost lands a little bit at an angle, okay, with her shoulders back a little further than her toes. Okay, so this is going to feel really odd because we're starting from the three-point line and that's not what you should do. Okay, go ahead. There, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Wow. That's right. So you can see how that momentum of starting it lower gives you some strength shooting it from here. You're not going, ugh, right? It gets rid of that completely. And then adding the jump, go ahead. Even just a little bit, you started it too high that time. Yeah. Here we go. Start it down so you can jump. Nope. So the timing of it. So watch, when you jump, if you shoot it, so you bring it here, bend your knees, you bring it here and then you jump, right? You want to bring it up as you jump. So your body has to work together. There you go. There you go. That's right. You missed it, but didn't that feel more? I mean, you got to do it a few times. Yeah. Kids are going to go, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. Well, yeah, it's new. Of course it doesn't feel right, but it's going to, when they do it, it'll feel better than their old shot once they get it. Good. That's right. So you can see, just jump for me once. So get your hand in. Here, give me the ball. So get right there. So we want kids to practice this piece. And you can have them practice without a ball to get the muscle memory, right? So have them start here. And jump, reach forward with her feet. Go ahead and jump and shoot it. There, good. See how she lands on her toes in front of where she jumped, but her shoulders stay up. So when your shoulders stay up, it helps you get more arc. It helps you be more accurate. It helps your shoulders be relaxed. It helps your head stay up. So show me that jump one more time. Good. See how her feet swing underneath her right there? Her shoulders sway back. Her feet swing underneath her. That's exactly what we want. So Allie's really got to get that, starting the ball a little bit lower and using her jump and her momentum to shoot the ball. So let's see it. That's right. So she missed again, but you're getting the distance that you need without it looking like you're pushing as hard as you can. Does that make sense? Does it feel like that or not?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just repetition from here. So she knows how to do it right. We got to just get her repetition. And I would have her actually start in closer doing that. The only reason I'm having her start here is because she already has the adaptations in closer. And I want to put her in a position where she can't adapt out here. She has to do it right. For a sixth grader, they might not be able to have that adaptation. You know, Allie can shoot really easily from here in here. So she's not going to make an adjustment. So I'm moving her where she can't make an adjustment and she has to do it right. For her, that's there. For some kids, it's here. For some kids, it's when they're moved. For every kid, it's going to be a little bit different. And you have to figure out a way to put them in a position where they have to do it right. They have to get repetitions at it. And they have to get the right repetitions at it. So once they start doing things right, every time they do it wrong, it sets back those good habits. We want them to do it right, do it right, do it right, do it right, do it right. And that's why adding shooting competitions, things that kids think are really fun too fast, it'll take that form. It'll have them doing it the old way because they just want to win. They just want to make shots. It'll take that form, throw it right out the window, and then they'll form shoot. They'll do it right, but they'll never become a good shooter because they're not getting the muscle memory and they're not creating the habits. So they got to do it, do it, do it. For me, the hardest thing about shooting is knowing when to teach it. You know, you have the most time with kids at the beginning of the season. High school coaches, you have a week, probably 10 days before your first game from your first practice. You're putting in 10,000 offenses and defenses and trying to get them to work together as a team, and it's a really hard time to get kids to learn to shoot the ball. For me, when we teach it, we try to teach it at the end of our season, which seems really weird. but we try to teach it at the end of our season because we don't get to work with our kids during the summer. If we got to work with our kids during the summer like most of you do, I would teach it during the summer at a time when they don't have a whole bunch of games really close together so they can work on doing it right and just spend tons of time on that during the off season. So by the time they get to their season and you're doing all the offensive and defensive stuff, they have it and it just becomes part of their game.